Oh, hello! I was just waiting for you, and I have an amazing story to tell because I've made my first investment in Dubai. I've bought an apartment and I will tell you the story now, but for that, I think we need to go to the theater. But while we are walking, I have one very important thing to tell you. I'm putting a lot of my effort and time into these YouTube videos, and I would really appreciate it if you click that subscribe button, liked the video and showed my channel to all of your friends. And now it's time to go to the theater and I'll tell you the story. Okay, so we are now finally in the theater, and initially my idea was to make this whole video vlog style, just using a blackboard, giving you the numbers, the story, and that's it. But when I looked at it after making it, it just didn't seem professional and it was all over the place. So I've decided to put on my suit for this and remove the jeans, the shirt, and just do this one really professionally. So as the title suggests, I have made my first investment in Dubai, but it's a bit of a lie because in the YouTube title, it will probably say I bought my first apartment in Dubai in 6 months, but I actually bought this 3 months ago. And by that time, I was on my first flight to Lithuania to meet all of my clients. And essentially, I knew that I was investing in Lithuania. I was buying a lot of properties there. And when I moved to Dubai, I also decided that I will move my investments to Dubai. And I couldn't really be selling Dubai real estate and not have any myself, because then it would just raise a lot of questions. Why were you an investor in Lithuania, but you don't have anything in Dubai and you're telling people to invest in Dubai? So I really believe in Dubai. I know that it's the best place to invest in the world, and I just had to do that with my own actions as well. So after I came back from my first trip in Lithuania, I actually found an amazing project that I knew that I have to buy, and also a few of my clients bought in the project as well. So the video, buying my first apartment in Dubai, starts now, and I think that first of all, we need to start with the location and where that apartment actually is. Here you can see part of the Dubai map. Essentially, you will definitely see the Palm, you know what it is, the Marina, the Dubai Hills, where we actually are at the moment. Most of the first-time investors in Dubai choose JVC, and I'm no different. I actually bought my first apartment in JVC, which is exactly here. And most of the time, people who want to have amazing apartments, but they do not want to pay the premiums of downtown, of Marina, of Dubai Hills, they go for JVC because the pricing is more fair and you're actually getting a lot for your money. And the other thing is, JVC in 2024 was the highest transacting area in Dubai. That means there's a lot of demand in the area. Of course, this brings me to my second thing, and while we are speaking about the location, I think I should tell you the main downside about JVC, and we will start off from the bad things and then we will move into the reasons and the good things and why this investment, in my opinion, is actually going to be very good. Behind me, you can see a screenshot from a website called Genie Map, which showcases most of the projects that are currently being sold or have been sold or are going to be sold in the near future, essentially off-plan map of Dubai. And when you look at it, there's a lot of areas with quite a few projects, like there's a lot of concentrations of projects in this area, but essentially it's all mainly sold out. And when you look at other areas such as Dubai Hills, Maritime City, downtown, you have a lot less projects, right? But there's one area that stands out with the numbers. If you look at JVC, the numbers are massive. And that means that there is a lot of supply in JVC. But the main thing that I want to touch up upon is that most of these buildings that are creating this massive supply are handing over. That means that the owners are getting their keys at the end of 2026 or in 2027, which actually makes my investment an amazing one because the timing is just perfect. Okay, so now I think it's time for me to reveal the project name and just show you what I actually bought. And the name is Sky Hills 2. Which implicates that there is Sky Hills 1. There's actually Sky Hills 3 as well, but for now, let's talk about my investment. So the project name is Sky Hills 2, it's in JVC, and every single project in Dubai in the renders looks amazing. So we will need to dive into the details so that you can clearly understand why I bought it. But first of all, the main question is, why did I choose Sky Hills 2? And well, in order for you to understand why, I think I need to tell you a little story. But in order to tell you the story, I need you to come a little bit closer. Closer. Just a little bit closer. Closer, closer. You need to really see this. Okay, that's better. So now we're actually in the picture that I've just shown to you on the presentation, and this is exactly the building where my unit is and where 3 of my clients also have apartments. As you can tell, the basis of the building is almost done. And this is very rare with off-plan projects because usually you have to wait for around 3 years until the development is finished. But this particular developer for this particular project started the sales when the building was already 27 stories high. So instead of waiting 3 years for the developer to finish, we are only going to have to wait a year. But I will get into the details when I'm in the office. So let's waste no more time. You already seen the building in reality. Let's go back there. Oh, and last thing before going back to the office. So my apartment and the apartments of my clients are in low floors. So from 3rd floor to 6th floor. And the main reason is that we have the park view. And when you have the park view, you don't want to be on the 20th floor because you will not see the park. So it just beats the whole purpose. So low floors, park view, and more details in the office. And we are now back in the office, and let me show you how my apartment actually looks. So essentially, since this is an off-plan property, I do not have the actual pictures because the building is still under construction, but this is the floor plan of my apartment. It's a 1-bedroom plus study apartment that is 906 square feet. So essentially, if we go to square meters, it's around 85 to 86 square meters, including the balcony, because there's a thing about Dubai, every single balcony is included in the square footage. So essentially, the apartment itself, I would say, is around 75 square feet, which is a massive apartment, especially for a 1-bed plus study. But this is not the main thing that made me buy it. So as I already showed you, my apartment is facing the park directly, which makes it very exclusive because there are not that many buildings in JVC that do not have a building in front of them, and instead they're looking at the park. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that most of the time, the study rooms in Dubai are just dark rooms with no windows where you can just sit down, do some work, and that's it. Well, this floor plan is completely different because the study room actually has the windows and it even has the balcony access. So essentially, this is a 2-bedroom apartment. You can fit a sofa here, you can fit a bed in here. It's not a big room, but it has its own access to a powder room, and it has the windows, it has the balcony. So from my point of view, this is a 2-bedroom apartment, and it is very exclusive because for the price that I'm paying, these things, you just cannot get it. So this is one more thing. The floor plan is just amazing. So I have the living room with the kitchen and the dining area. I have a full master bathroom connected to the master bedroom with a walk-in wardrobe. And yeah, then we have the powder room with the toilet, with the sink that is connected to the hallway and to the study room. So essentially, on the papers, it's called 1-bedroom plus study, but having in mind the size, the floor plan, and the fact that study room has all the windows and balcony access, I would actually call this a 2-bedroom apartment. And that's one of the main reasons why I purchased it and why 3 of my clients also made this purchase. And the last thing is, of course, it wasn't easy to get 4 of the prestigious park-facing units, but I mean, that's why I'm one of the best agents in Dubai, because I make these things happen. And now let's go to the next slide and let me just tell you some numbers, and you will definitely understand why the downside of JVC being a very high transacting area, having a lot of supply, is actually not that big of a deal for us. So the first thing is the handover time. My project, Sky Hills 2, is handing over in Q1 or Q2 latest of 2026. And as I already mentioned before, most of the projects in JVC hand over by the end of 2026 or at the start of 2027. So when I want to sell the apartment, if I decide to sell it instead of renting it, I will not have all of that competition yet, because when I get my keys, most of the projects in JVC will still be under construction. The best thing and probably the most interesting thing for all of you is how much did I pay, and yeah, what the payment plan is, because the payment plan is also one more hidden gem that made me go with this exact offer. So essentially, the price of my apartment is 1.354 million dirhams, and including the 4% DLD, which is always paid in Dubai, the total price is 1.41 million dirhams, which is essentially $380,000. And then we come to one of the best parts, the payment plan. The payment plan is 30, 20, 50, which essentially means I only pay 30% during the construction, which is very rare, and it's just very good when you're investing, because essentially until the handover, until the Q1 or Q2 of 2026, I only need to pay 30% of this price, which makes it very easy to invest. And I can also resell it, but we'll get into that later. Then the 20% I pay on handover. So essentially, I'm getting the keys to my fully furnished apartment that I can rent out tomorrow, that I can live in tomorrow, and I'm only 50% in. So I pay half of the price, but I already have the apartment. And the last 50% is paid over 2 years post handover. So in the 2 years that I already have the keys, I already am using the apartment or I'm renting it, I'm still paying the 50%. So if we look at the numbers, the reservation deposit was 14%, then in 30 days I pay 10 more percent, then in 6 months from this date I'm paying 5%, 3 months from this date 5%, now we are at 30%, and now I'm just waiting for the developer to call me and tell me that the building is finished, that I can get the keys, and then I'm paying 20% on handover. And well, then the last 50% is divided into these installments. And now you already know the price, you know the payment plan. I will also tell you all of the profit details, all of the rental prices and everything, but before doing that, I think I need to show you how the apartment will actually look. And essentially, as I said, this is a fully furnished apartment. And before purchasing it, I went to the developer's office and they have a show unit. So essentially, you walk in and you see how your apartment looks. And this apartment, as I've mentioned a few times, will be fully furnished. So essentially, everything that you can see here, aside from the TV, the glasses, the rugs and stuff, everything will be there. So I don't need to do anything. I can just come in and live in it. I can just rent it out the next day after handover. It just makes it very easy. And from what you see in the renders, you can tell that the finishings are very nice. They are modern, and I mean, there is nothing to not like about it. This is a very nice apartment, and for the price that you are paying, for the price that I'm paying, for the price that my clients are paying, having all of the park views, the layouts in mind, having this kind of furnishing is actually amazing. And now, once you know how the apartment looks, let me get in depth with some numbers and let me show you why also it is an amazing investment. So first of all, rent and sale price after handover. So essentially, when I get the keys, I will have to decide either I want to rent it or I want to sell it. Of course, there's one more option. It's resale before handover, which is also very profitable because, for example, in Dubai, the difference is that when you are paying 20 plus 4%, the initial payment, essentially, you are signing the SPA. And SPA is a sales purchase agreement, which makes you the owner of the property. So essentially the case with this developer is that I can resell the property after 30%. So when I pay out the 30% before the handover, I have the right to sell it. Why is it good? Well, let's say in 1.5 years of construction, the price goes up 15%. I think that's a conservative number. It goes up 15% when I'm only invested 30%. That means my investment is actually up by 50%. So that's amazing, but the biggest chunk of appreciation usually comes after handover. So that's what I'm going to wait for. But yeah, that's the thing. And now let's get into the numbers. The rent, the long-term rent of this apartment, judging by the current prices in JVC and having in mind that it should probably go up a little bit by the end and by the start of 2026, is 100 to 125,000 dirhams, around $29,000 to $34,000, which essentially brings us to 8 to 9% rental return. And this number, I'm not including the fact that 50% of the price is not paid yet. So if we include the fact that I'm only 50% in the property by the time of handover, the rental percentage is a lot higher, but let's just keep it simple. So 8 to 9% ignoring the payment plan. And the sale price, approximately after handover, should be around 1.5, 1.6 million dirhams, which is $410 to $430,000. So essentially, if I'm 50% in the property and I sell it after getting the keys, we're looking at around 25 to 30% profit in 1.5 years. And I mean, that sounds pretty good to me, essentially when it's tax-free money. Okay, so this is probably the main reason why I decided to go for this property. And now it's time for a conclusion, which is, first of all, low entry price, having in mind that it's a park-facing unit, it's almost a 2-bedroom, it's fully furnished, the handover is very soon. I consider it to be a very low entry price unit. The second thing is decent returns. No matter how good you are at investing, getting 25 to 30% in 1.5 years is amazing. There are projects in Dubai that can give you better returns, but usually it comes with a little bit more risk. And in this case, I would say it's a pretty safe bet. And yeah, I mean, 30% tax-free is definitely not a bad thing. And one more thing, foot in the market. By that, I mean that you can wait for the perfect time to invest. You can look at the options for a year, for 2 years. You can do all of that. But a very important thing when you're starting to invest in Dubai is to actually have your foot in the market, because then you're constantly looking out for what's happening and you already have the money in the market. So that just inclines you to make more investments and look for better and better options. So low entry price, decent returns, and foot in the market. I mean, this is the conclusion of why I bought it. And after watching this video, hopefully you understand why it's such a good investment and why I went for it and why my clients will definitely make a nice chunk of money after selling it. And lastly, this brings me to one thing. I was very big into investing in Lithuania. I was buying properties, as I said, so having one property in Dubai definitely is not the case, because I honestly think that Dubai is the best place to invest when it comes to real estate, and that in the next 5 to 7 to 10 years, the price growth is going to be exponential. So I'm going to leave you with the last slide, which should raise some excitement, because another apartment is coming. I already have my eyes on another investment, and I will tell you all about it in the next videos. Okay, so I hope that you found today's video very informative and valuable and that you enjoyed it. So if you're interested in Dubai property investments in off-plan, or as we call new build, don't hesitate to reach out, because I will 100% come up with the best strategy for you. And lastly, if you enjoyed the video, also please subscribe to my channel, please like the video, and I'm going to bring you a lot more valuable content in the very near future. So that's it from me today, and I will see you in the next video.